Oh boy, 3 weeks of waiting and we have one of the saddest, one of the worst situations to happen to Denji in a long time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should be very nervous. We all should be, because the Denji that we're seeing right now is something that we have never experienced before, and potentially it's only going to get worse. When I was going through this chapter, the one thing that kept lingering in the back of my mind is that this doesn't really feel like Denji. This doesn't really feel like him. It undoubtedly is, but the motivation, the desperation, anger, the drive, everything is misplaced and contorted into something a lot more scarier, a lot more aggressive. Everyone's reaction to this, the public, Nayuta, even the hybrid's reaction to Denji right now is very off. It's not like they haven't experienced Chainsawman before, but this version of Denji seems partially unhinged, seems partially so aggressive and disgusting and just kind of all over the place that no one really knows how to navigate through him. So when that was lingering in my head, every situation that we came across, I looked at entirely differently. This isn't a normal situation. This isn't a normal Denji turning into Chainsawman. Yeah, it's been some time, it's been a while, but I think we are seeing something very different, very dangerous and potentially much worse. So let me explain. The past couple of videos that I've talked about Denji, I've mentioned the possibility that whatever Denji turns into, which is right now, could be something that we haven't experienced before. And my main thought process, or my guideline towards it, was that this is a situation that we've never seen Denji truly encounter. When it comes to full armor Pochita and Denji turning into him, we don't really know what triggers it. We don't know how he makes that jump into the next big final version, the quote-unquote hero of hell. We do know, however, there is a small component, or you could say a large one, that is partially due to Pochita. Now, I don't know when Pochita does take control. That's the limitation that Fami and all of the Chainsawman Church are trying to figure out. The difference this time, and the reason why I even brought it up, is that we've never seen Denji go through with his transformation in the form of anger, rage, or even hatred. Something that is so desperate, something that is so viral and toxic, at some point would have an effect on you, right? Especially if you're transforming. Now I'm even more confident that this is going to be the case, that there is a potential big chance that if Denji goes through with this, leading by anger, leading by his pure instinctual rage, because this is the first time they've amped him up to that point, if he transforms into Pochita, that full armor hero of hell, he may not ever be able to come back. There's no hard evidence for that, entirely theory crafting, but I never thought this chapter right here would be a possibility either, that his emotions would influence his transformation process and kind of come off even scarier than he originally was. So we are in a precarious position. We're looking at Denji in a completely different light, and he's not himself. And the reason is because they have driven him to rage. This is the first time that his friends have been used as pretty big leverage. And when I say leverage, I mean directly. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place. He had no choice. This also takes me back to the interpretation that I had with the child Denji and Pochita waving at each other. So I want to talk about it. My original interpretation of this was a safe one because I wasn't entirely sure the motivation that Fujimoto was going with. On one hand, you could say that they're greeting each other, which is originally what I thought. They're coming back to terms. Chainsawman's been away for a long time, so Pochita and Denji as a child coming together kind of makes sense in your mind, right? A lot of people had the opposite interpretation, that they were actually departing from each other. Denji was turning around to walk down a dark alleyway or a dark path, and Pochita was waving him goodbye, standing in front of the burning house that had all the things that Denji would consider a normal life. This too can also be true. So I think both of these interpretations can actually be real and function really well for Denji as a character. However, this version, this chapter, provides a lot more context, I think, for that interaction. I don't think they were greeting each other, nor do I think that they're truly departing from each other. I think this is kind of more so a cannibalization, if you will, of Denji's childhood self, and that the normal life, all of the experiences that he has had as a child, being the things that he worked so desperately for, is now being taken away from him very forcefully. And the one thing that comes in his mind to protect it at all costs is Pochita, is Chainsawman, is the ability to protect your own. For me, the reason I feel like child Denji is a great representation of that is because he's never had anything. At his core, he is a young boy that is severely traumatized, that has gone gone through so much hardship, that has sacrificed so much. So the things that he has worked for, the things that he's accomplished, the things that potentially provided him a normal life, somewhat attaches itself to that innocence, to that childlike state. He doesn't need Chainsaw Man to heal that inner child, but that normal lifestyle probably would. Naturally, you would grow from that trauma. You would potentially try to heal it. Now that you've had a normal life, you have a house, you have pets, friends, a loving family, potentially you grow out of that inner child with all of the trauma and issues that come with it to potentially heal it. To me, this feels like the opposite, the inversion, the destruction of it, and it's because of his house. That is his home. That's his pets. That's Meowie. That's Pochita's home as well. Everything that he considered to be a normal lifestyle, that he considered to be his own, his worth, was in that house. It is gone, devoured. So they've done a great job. Chainsaw Man Church has pushed him to his limits. They've threatened Nayuta's life, they've put him on the edge, and alongside public safety, they have put this man within a corner. One that cannot be ran away from, one that can't be controlled or manipulated or fought normally through. If you transform, public safety will kill Nayuta. If you don't transform, Chainsaw Man Church will kill Nayuta. And your home burning with all of its belongings and animals is the proof. What logical answer do you think Denji could come up with? He couldn't. He got pushed to the limit, so what he does best is survive. He fights, and Pochita is, at its core, a reflection of his survival. So them combining together once again for this moment, it is very different. So let me show you a small version of it. From what we know from the Hero of Hell, Pochita tends to take control. He is the one kind of driving everything forward with instinctual movement. There's no Denji realistically in this form. However, there is traits of Denji, kind of the goofiness, the silliness, a lot of the mannerisms that Denji has come forward in this full armor form. So Pochita, for me, is quite literally living through Denji's instincts and his dreams. What do you think Denji's dream is right now? What do you think his mind is at? Where do you think his thoughts are at? But this might be the first time you're seeing Pochita recognize that Denji's dream has now crumbled and that he is transforming off pure rage. And I think Pochita knows very well. There's a couple of different ways to notice this. The way Denji fights, the way he heals, the way he analyzes the situation is a lot more chaotic. Denji's not stupid by any means when it comes to fighting. He tends to look for different opportunities to actually give him the upper hand. There is other situations where he's willing to sacrifice himself if he knows that's the only way to do it. This just feels cannibalistic. This feels berserk-like. This feels crazy. He gets attacked by all three hybrids who feel confident, but at the same time slowly start to switch their attitude. They recognize that he is not just the Chainsaw Man that they've talked about. This version right here is a monster, and he acts like one. This is instinctual rage, I think, propelled and fueled by Pochita's Chainsaw Man form. If you take that to the next level with Hero of Hell, could you imagine the destruction it would cause? These hybrids get obliterated, and then it comes into a one-to-one contact with Shugo, Sword Guy, and he looks concerned. They were not prepared for this, and rightfully so. He loses, but Denji takes the hit anyway. He gets stabbed, he gets slaughtered, but he manages to win. See, the difference between all of these hybrids is that they're willing to protect vital organs, vital parts of themselves. They're not giving up openings. Denji does not care. He actually expresses that it feels good to be injured and heal from it. It's like a deep massage. This is very reminiscent of Hero of Hell, who tends to take a lot of attacks as well, heal from it, but basically does whatever is possible to win. I don't think Denji is actively making these choices to injure himself or to take this attack so he can win. This is very different to Katana Man. He's just doing it off instinct. He does not care about himself, and it shows. Everyone is horrified, but the one that really, really hurts, the one that we have to talk about separately, is Nayuta. If you only focus on Nayuta in this chapter, you will recognize one thing very quickly. She's scared. This is not the Denji that she's known. This is not even the version of Chainsaw Man that she's seen slightly before. This is something incredibly different. And if anyone knows Denji best, anyone knows how he ticks, how he functions, it is Nayuta. She's worried, she's concerned, she's scared. And there's a point where Denji even recognizes himself, which makes me believe there's a little bit of control, just a tiny bit there of himself. He recognizes that he should push Nayuta away. Basically tells her to leave, that she shouldn't be around him. That's insane when you think about it. Seeing this chapter end with Denji covered in blood and excited and happy and injured and wanting to leave Nayuta behind, it's very saddening, and it puts massive question marks on the future of this story, but also the future of Denji. If you were to ask me who could save Denji right now, who could actually help him if he does eventually lose control, none other than Asa and Yoru. I could easily see public safety deploying Asa to try and get Denji back, to get him out of that form, and using the aid of Fumiko and Nayuta to do it, which could result in that fight. This chapter has put a lot of things into perspective. There's a lot of things on the horizon. It's going to be scary and definitely very worrying with what we know now, but Fujimoto always has surprises. It's going to be painful waiting for these chapters, but we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to chew on, and we're all in it together. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe too, that'd be very nice, that'd be cool. Also, if you watch one of these videos here, lets YouTube know that my videos are worth watching in consecutive order. Kind of looks good for them to recommend to others. That is all I got, however, so I will see you all later.